Right now, as you're sitting there, there's a constant, high-stakes balancing act happening inside of you. It's this silent, invisible battle that literally decides whether the trillions of chemical reactions keeping you alive, well, whether they succeed or just fail catastrophically. So let's dive into the amazing superheroes that make it all possible.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to talk about why you're basically living on a chemical knife's edge. Then we'll meet the body's incredible pH sponges. We'll get to know the whole team, the public worker, bicarbonate, the private specialist, phosphate, and the special ops crew, protein and hemoglobin. And finally, we'll wrap up by seeing just how critical these silent superheroes really are.
All right, let's start with the big problem. Our bodies aren't just, bags of water. They are incredibly precise chemical reactors. And for them to work, the conditions have to be just right. Well, from a chemical point of view, the answer is a big fat yes, all the time. Your body is constantly making acids just from normal stuff, like breathing and eating. And believe it or not, that acid is a huge constant threat to your survival.
Think about it like this. The enzymes in your body are like tiny, specialized workers on an assembly line, and they are super picky. If the pH, that's the acidity level of their workplace, changes even a tiny bit, they completely change their shape and just stop working. The entire assembly line of life grinds to a halt.
And it all comes down to this one number, 7.4. That is the perfect, absolutely non-negotiable pH for your blood. And I'm not talking about a general target here. Not 7.3, not 7.5. The system has to be kept unbelievably stable, right at this exact number, or you are in very serious trouble.
So, how on earth does your body manage to walk this tightrope so perfectly? Well, it has this incredibly elegant solution: biological buffers. These are the unsung heroes we're here to talk about today.
So what is a buffer exactly? It sounds complicated, but just think of it as a chemical buddy system. You've got one partner that's a weak acid, and its buddy is the opposite, a weak base. Together, their only job is to stop the pH from changing. If a dangerous acid shows up, the base partner jumps in and neutralizes it. If a strong base shows up, the acid partner steps in. They're a perfect little balancing act. Now, if you want a really easy way to remember this, here's the best knowledge trick. Think of a buffer as a chemical sponge. So let's say your body makes too much acid, which is really just a bunch of extra hydrogen ions, or H+. This chemical sponge is just waiting there to soak them all up before they can do any damage, keeping the pH perfectly stable. It's that simple.
And here's the cool part. We don't just have one kind of sponge. We have a whole team, and each one has a specific job. In the fluids outside our cells, like our blood, we've got three main players: bicarbonate, proteins, and phosphate. But inside our cells, the main workers are proteins and phosphate. And then, inside our red blood cells, a very special player called hemoglobin takes over. Let's meet them one by one.
Okay, let's meet the first and most important member of the team, the bicarbonate system. You can think of this one as the public works department for your body. It keeps all the public spaces, like your bloodstream, totally clean and stable. This system is the #1 buffer in your blood. Its job is to manage the pH in all the fluids outside of your cells, but it also has a second critical job. It's a key part of the waste disposal system that helps your body get rid of all the carbon dioxide that your metabolism makes. Now, this is fascinating. To keep your blood pH at that perfect 7.4, your body has to maintain this super precise recipe: 20 parts bicarbonate for every 1 part carbonic acid. That 20-to-1 ratio is literally the secret code for life. If that ratio gets messed up, the whole system is in danger. Okay, next up is our second hero. So if bicarbonate is the public works department for the bloodstream, then the phosphate system is like the specialist supervisor working on the factory floor. And by that, I mean inside each and every one of your cells. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. Bicarbonate is the king of the blood, but phosphate is found in much higher concentrations inside your cells, where the chemistry is a little different. And here's a fantastic memory trick for you. Bicarbonate starts with B for blood, and phosphate starts with P for the private space inside your cells. Easy, right? And finally, let's meet the special operations units of our buffering team: proteins and the highly specialized hemoglobin. These are the versatile problem solvers, the ones you call in for the tricky missions.
Proteins are just incredible. They're built from these things called amino acids, which have both acidic parts and basic parts. This makes them like chemical chameleons. Depending on what the situation needs, they can either soak up acid or release some to neutralize a base. They're the true jacks of all trades, working both inside and outside the cells.
But hemoglobin, wow, hemoglobin is a true specialist with a very specific mission. So check this out. In your tissues, CO2 waste jumps into a red blood cell and turns into carbonic acid, releasing a dangerous hydrogen ion. But right at that moment, hemoglobin, which has just dropped off its oxygen, is in the perfect shape to just grab that hydrogen ion and neutralize it instantly. Then, the harmless bicarbonate that's left over gets swapped out of the cell for chloride in a clever process called the chloride shift, just to keep everything electrically balanced.
Then, when that same red blood cell gets to the lungs, the entire process just reverses itself perfectly. It's beautiful. Hemoglobin picks up a fresh molecule of oxygen, and that makes it let go of the hydrogen ion it was holding. That ion immediately finds a bicarbonate molecule, turns right back into CO2 and water, and poof, you exhale the CO2 waste. What an absolutely elegant and efficient system.
So let's bring it all home. These systems, bicarbonate, phosphate, proteins, hemoglobin, they are all working non-stop in perfect sync to fight an invisible battle for you every single second of every single day. And while they all do their part, the most valuable player in your blood plasma is pretty clear. The bicarbonate system does the vast majority of the heavy lifting. We're talking about 65%, followed by protein buffers at 30%. The big takeaway here is that without that bicarbonate sponge, our blood would be in constant danger. You know, we started this whole explainer talking about living life on a chemical knife's edge. And this quote from the source material just says it all. Almost every biological process is pH dependent. These buffer systems are the silent superheroes that keep us from falling off that edge. Every breath you take, every cell in your body, is part of this incredible, silent chemical symphony. It's this elegant, invisible system that keeps you alive. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other hidden processes are at work inside you right this very second?